Good afternoon, everybody. Today is our weekly chat with the city manager. Today's date is January 19th, 2022. Thank you for joining us. We want to just go over some of the things that are happening in the city that are on the mayor's and city managers list. And Andy, you want to start with the COVID statistics?
Sure, I'd love to. So, just to cut to the chase on that, as you know, every week we provide an update on COVID case rate and vaccination rate in the city of Peekskill from information available on the county's public health portal. This also published to our Facebook page, which is the best place to get timely information on events and news from the city. So most recently, as of the 17th, there are 1,265 active COVID cases known in the city. That's probably there are probably others out there that haven't been reported, and those are probably largely the new Omicron variant. That number has come down a little bit actually from last we spoke when it was 1,400. So it seems like maybe the trend is going back down a bit now. Obviously, it's a lot of folks who are suffering from that illness right now. Our vaccination rate continues to increase, which is great. It's up to 89.9% people who've gotten their first shot who are eligible. And it's nice to see we're getting really close to 90. I feel like we should have a party when we hit 90% because that's a great accomplishment for the community.
Yeah, a party with distancing for sure.
Yeah, right. Social distancing. But some celebrations do. I mean, it really is. It's great to see that number move. I mean, it was way down in the sort of 60s and 70s in August and that period. So it's steadily climbed over time.
Yeah, and as a reminder, we're seeing it on all the news channels. We're hearing it from the CDC. It's about wearing your mask. It's about cleaning your hands, about social distancing and protecting yourself. We are doing another mask distribution today from 3 to 5 at City Hall. You can walk up the steps. I'll be there to greet you with the deputy mayor, and we're handing out the N95 masks, and they're free. So please come by and collect them. Also, we have a COVID test on Saturday, sponsored by the library. So on Saturday, the 22nd from 12 to 4, you can go to the library and get tested for COVID. And also the free COVID tests that are being, you can subscribe to and have them sent to your home, the 4 tests. Do you have the site, Andy?
It's actually, you just Google it. It's the U.S. Postal Service, USPS. And it's very easy. Just put your address in, and they'll send one package of tests to each address that logs in there.
Right. I think it's 4 tests per address.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So that's our COVID update for today. And again, we just hope everybody's keeping themselves safe. Want to move on? We have some great solar projects coming to the city that we're looking at.
Yeah. So let me give a little bit of background on that, Mayor. As we all know, it's actually imperative that overall the world move towards renewable and non-carbon emitting energy sources, and solar is one of the best versions of that. The projects, because energy is relatively expensive, these solar projects actually pay for themselves by substituting solar energy for the energy produced in other ways. There are numerous projects afoot to try to locate more solar panels. Obviously, there's homeowner options with rooftop solar. For the city, we have 2 properties that look like they would be good places to have solar installations, and we're talking with a solar developer about leasing that space to them. They had an excellent presentation last night. The city is going to move forward with giving them some access to those sites to do their feasibility and engineering cost assessments. The 2 sites are the roof of the water treatment plant and the canopy on top of the James Street garage that would just be on top of the top floor there. Those are the 2 sites that we're going to move forward doing feasibility analysis on. And essentially the deal is it's a lease of that space to the solar developers who take all the risks, do all the design, do all the construction work, and then they're allowed to sell energy from those sites. The one of the kind of attractive aspects of this project is that the energy that they produce is actually a little cheaper. There's a discount for city residents, and they expect the energy produced would be suitable for about 200 households to subscribe, and we would work with the developers to promote those opportunities to subscribe to that electricity source to low income and moderate income households in the city. So it has kind of a double double side to it. One is to get the renewable energy flowing, and the other is to get it into the hands of people who are most in need of affordable energy.
Right, it's actually threefold too, because the city will collect a rent where the from where they put the solar panels.
Absolutely.
It gives us a step forward going to renewable energy. 200 units doesn't sound like a lot for 200 households, but there's always room for expansion. And I think it's a good place to start so that we see some of this within the city. So it's exciting for it to come through. And the fact that they do all the legwork um, and the city reaps the benefits is really an outstanding thing.
Yeah, I want to give credit to Sustainable Westchester, which is really a great organization. It's helped the city with a number of different environmental sustainability kind of initiatives. And this is something they're collaborating with the solar developers on. So they would help to enroll people and kind of spread the word about the opportunity to save money by subscribing to these. So obviously, we're very hopeful that these sites are actually going to pan out as good places to put solar panels up and work our way through the paperwork as far as a lease agreement.
Right. So the next steps for this is basically giving them the permission to kind of study these areas.
Yeah, so the city council will see a resolution on Monday giving site access so they can do their due diligence and connect to data through Con Edison. Con Edison basically has to agree to the sites, and so we need to get Con Edison looking at these sites in terms of their grid around the site and being able to accept that energy source. That it's a new basically power plant, a small power plant, and they need to be able to accommodate the juice coming into their grid. So yeah, so our next move is essentially to have the council approve it, and then for me to sign some paperwork to give them site access, and then coordinate with providing any information about the buildings and the parking structure that they need to do their due diligence on that. It's really exciting. There's actually another solar opportunity we're looking at right now too, which is a little bit different. Which is there's a likely to be a large solar installation similar to these actually outside the city, down in the southern part of the county, and we've kind of gotten in line for the city organization, which buys a lot of electricity for streetlights and other things, to be a subscriber to that. So we'll be actually, if it works out, we'll get the electricity a little cheaper than what Con Ed would sell it to us for, and we'll also be able to support another solar project outside the city.
That's great. So a lot of good things with renewable energy, solar. It takes time, but we are working on it and bringing it to the city. So that's what's important.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that. So that was a topic we were talking about last night. We went through this number of other really important project reviews. For one is basically capital planning, capital project planning, and specifically the city's fleet of sanitation trucks is aging. We have a couple of plow trucks and other vehicles that need to be replaced, and we have an amazing machine called a Vector truck. People have probably seen it out there. I wanted to talk about that a little bit, which is absolutely critical to our sewer and water maintenance projects that all are on the list for purchase in the coming year. Just to talk a little bit about the Vector truck, I should be showing a picture of it. People have seen it. It's this truck that has a big kind of vacuum cleaner like tube on it, and it's actually used for excavating. Using water, it can open up a hole in the ground and actually vacuum out dirt and rocks and things around pipes, so that you don't have to drop an excavator shovel down in there and run the risk of actually breaking something. It's an amazing technology for digging things up without breaking them when there's multiple lines under the street and so on. You've got water lines, gas lines, sewer lines, storm drains, and other things. So that Vector truck is constantly in use by the city for the water department and the sewer department. It's been out of service a lot. It's had about $80,000 worth of repairs over the last 3 years. It's clearly kind of hit its limit as far as the increasing cost of repair versus the benefits of getting a newer vehicle. So we're moving forward with that project, which I know is really exciting to our team. They want to be able to efficiently fix our water lines and sewer lines, and they need this kind of vehicle to do it. So
Yeah, I would agree. As a growing city, we have to make sure that we have the equipment and materials that our staff needs to get the work done for our residents. It, if you look at the numbers, if you watched the meeting last night and you saw the numbers, they can be, a little mind boggling and make you feel a little off, but it's stuff that is needed. I just want to remind people that our comptroller has really researched this as well as department heads in terms of looking at what we really need, and that this will not put us in any kind of financial strain, that the city has budgeted for this, and looking at different leasing options and so forth, we will be able to handle purchasing this equipment and moving our city forward.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a really important investment to make. As everybody knows who drives a car, they don't last forever. And they after they get old, they start being increasingly costly to maintain. And so, yeah, so a battery truck runs about $500,000, which is a lot of money. The city has a debt schedule, which every year we pay off debt, and it gives us the opportunity to add new projects and keep our overall principal interest payments essentially flat year to year. So we can take on new debt while we're retiring old debt. And the comptroller, Matt Alexander, is really great at this stuff. We're also looking at refinancing to get a lower interest rate on some debt, and using leasing options as well as out, out and out purchase to get vehicles.
Right.
So yeah, it's important work, and it's important that the city plan for the future. And it takes a lot to get through this decision making. So we appreciate the support of the city council and in getting these kind of larger projects going.
Right. And you don't want to wait to the last minute. You don't want to wait until it's broken. You're done and out. That's when you buy an emergency
Well, that's
situation.
the thing, right? It costs about $2,500 to rent one of these trucks for the day,
Right.
which we've had to do when it was out of commission. And it probably takes a year once you've decided to buy it to actually have the thing, arrive,
Right.
um, fully built and so on. So yeah, you have to plan ahead for sure.
Thank you to the department heads for planning ahead and keeping the city in a great
Mhm,
situation.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely. The other thing we're doing is we're starting to look at electric vehicles for our small kind of runaround cars for Section 8 building department. And so the city council has directed us to consider that as an option. We're moving forward with one purchase. Believe it's a Nissan Leaf for Section 8. And I'm looking at a Ford Escape, which is which they have an electric plug-in hybrid version of that, which looks attractive for code enforcement. So we have to do a little more market research on that as we try to transition a little bit over to electric vehicles.
Great. Sounds good. I know a lot of the public is really wanting to see that, as well as the council. That's one of our concerns, and one of the things we want to get taken care of this year is to make sure that as we're purchasing new vehicles, that we are making sure that we're buying electric vehicles where they're prudent.
Hmm. Yeah, we also need to look for more locations for charging stations. I'd like to get one or two for the city hall parking lot. And I'm actually meeting later today with a company that does those installations. Actually, in the solar company we were talking with last night, also offered electric charging stations as part of as sort of an add-on to that lease agreement. So we'll be talking with them about that as well. I know that more and more people are driving electric cars and they need to plug them in. At this point, the city is not actually charging for the electricity. For example, at our charging stations down by the riverfront, we want to promote that, and it doesn't cost very much at all. So
Right. We have the one there and also the one over in the James Street garage in that
right,
area as
exactly,
well.
yeah. So we encourage people to use those. They actually get a fair amount of use. We have data on that.
Great. All right.
So yeah, so that was another topic. Another thing that we talked about last night was the downtown revitalization initiative. The project, which is kind of getting its feet under it right now, we brought to the city council for approval, is the hiring of a consultant to manage our downtown revitalization fund. And this, as people may remember, is a $700,000 grant fund for local businesses to do capital improvements. So it's signs, their building improvements, kitchen improvements, other kinds of architectural improvements that they get a really good deal because they only have to have a 10% match. So if you apply for $100,000, you'd have to pay 10. The challenge, I think, for the businesses is going to be that it's based on reimbursement. You don't get the money up front. So you have to have money in order to in order to use one of these grants, because it's all based on reimbursement. The consultant that we're hiring, she's a really highly skilled accountant who's done a lot of project management, and she's paid for through the fund from the state. And so she'll be setting up a series of meetings for businesses to learn more about the grant guidelines and how to make their applications.
It was exciting. Her resume was quite impressive. Um, I'm really looking forward to meeting her and having our city businesses work with her. I think it's going to be a real viable opportunity for some of our local businesses. So continue to watch for more information on that. And
Yep.
it's exciting to see that the DRI is coming. We're beginning to move and see the projects come into play and get some of these things done that the community so desperately wants to see.
Right. So on Monday's meeting, you'll see a resolution for both the hiring of that consultant and to sort of adopt the administrative plan, which will guide her work, provide the benchmarks and sort of the mechanisms by which these grants are approved. The state ultimately has to approve all the grants, but the city is coordinating the application process and actually the bidding process as well, because it's public money. These will be competitive bids, which the city will manage on behalf of these businesses. So there's going to be a lot of paperwork, and people who are serious about it are going to need to really learn how the application process works and get involved as early as possible.
Great.
So that's a little bit of update on the DRI. I wanted to mention as well, I just wanted to thank once again, we've been getting all these kind of little snowstorms. And our DPW guys, they even a little snowstorm with all the ice from the last one. They're up in the middle of the night, salting roads and so on. We got some good feedback on that. I just want to give credit where it's due. These people really work hard. They're moving a lot of equipment and trying to make sure that these ice patches have salt on them. I know that the mayor noticed one over the weekend, and it was true. I mean, there was this kind of water that had come out and spread over the road. It was making it very icy, so we sent a crew over there. This is we're sort of always having to respond to these weather incidents throughout the winter, and we appreciate all the different ways in which people can help. Obviously, by complying with the winter parking regulations to make sure you're out of the way, so we can get the snow off the road. Complying with our sidewalk snow removal regulations so that people can walk safely, and otherwise just being safe when you're out there and trying to avoid driving in icy conditions, so that our emergency responders don't have to do unnecessary work. But we obviously call the city if you ever are in need. We want to help out.
Just as a reminder to people, if it snows on one day and you go out and you do your snow removal and it happens to warm up a little bit and we have some melting, please be sure to check the next day. We had a lot of sidewalks that were very, very icy and very, very dangerous. So and it's a lot of work, I understand it, but you still have to be held accountable for making sure that your property is safe for people to get by. We had a lot of people in the downtown who just let the ice persist and people could not get around. So just remember that.
Yeah, and just so you know, our code enforcers are out there actively enforcing the sidewalk snow removal and actually implementing our new rule, which is the city will assign contract labor to clean up sidewalks that haven't been cleaned by the deadline, and then assess that cost on the tax bill. So that program has begun. There are dozens of people who have received violations and whose sidewalks have been cleaned for them, and are going to be looking at a bill for that. So hopefully the word will get out, and that will help people as a reminder to go out and take care of their sidewalks. So that's that one. I know, Mayor, you're planning on doing another mask distribution this afternoon. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we brought that up at the top of the hour, but it's from 3 to 5 today at City Hall. We'll be giving out masks at the entrance of City Hall, so just come up. You do need to be a Peekskill resident. We'll ask you that, and get your mask. They're the N95s that the CDC is recommending that we wear. They're saying that they're a little more safe, so we have them. We got them from the county, which we appreciate that partnership with them, and we want to make sure that all of our residents have masks so they can stay safe. So stop by for them.
I just wanted to say a word about Martin Luther King Day and the efforts of the Youth Bureau to kind of convene and organize around that. It's a really important national holiday for obvious reasons. On Tuesday, January 25th at 7 o'clock, the Youth Bureau is sponsoring a virtual event in recognition of Martin Luther King's the holiday and the birthday. And also on going into February, it's Black History Month. they'll be sponsoring a Black History Fashion Show on February 26th. So please keep an eye on the Youth Bureau. All sorts of wonderful events constantly coming out of that department in helping to bring the community together in important ways. I know the City Council itself is always has a Black History Month sort of nomination process. Those letters and nominations were due, I think, at the end of last week.
They were due on the 14th.
Right. So we'll be looking forward to seeing who the council is going to recognize in the coming weeks for leadership in the community.
Also with the Youth Bureau, as a reminder, there is a trade grade 4-week construction course that the Youth Bureau is doing. So it's one course, you get 7 certifications. It gives you an OSHA certification, a 3-hour flagger, CPR, AED, and first aid. It's an 8-hour fall protection, a 4-hour supported scaffold and security guard, and 2-hour drug and alcohol awareness. You can contact Emily Bender at the Youth Bureau. This is going to be starting very soon. It's for children or young adults who are out of school from 18 to 24 years old. You need a social security card and a valid New York State ID, and a driver's license is preferred. But give them a call. This is a free program that can help you get certified to get jobs. It's something that we have at the Youth Bureau that I don't think it's used enough, but the programs are there. And I would suggest anybody in that 18 to 24-year-old range, contact the Youth Bureau, contact Emily, and see what is available there to kind of help you get on with your future.
Now, they do wonderful programs. While we're talking about activities, I just want to mention a couple of things Parks and Recreation is working on. Of course, they got their youth basketball games over at the Kylie Center. Those just started last week. And there's yoga and wellness, which is free. It's open to the public. It's also at the Kylie Center. Coming up when the weather starts to warm up a little bit, will the maple sugaring workshops, which is really kind of a cool thing that Recreation Department organizes in the late winter. So keep an eye out for that. It's in February. Basically, the registration will be open for that. Just keep an eye out for these wonderful programs that the Recreation Department is running, often in collaboration with the Youth Bureau as well. So please just visit the city recreation website to find more information about that.
And sign up for the city newsletter. So
yeah, sign up for the newsletter.
There. So if you sign up for the newsletter, you'll get all of the information. Important.
One of the things that we're promoting right now on Facebook is the fact that there's 3 vacancies on very important committees in the city: the zoning board, the planning board, and the historical landmarks preservation board. These are really important boards in service to the city. We appreciate the volunteer efforts. So anybody who's interested in serving on those boards, please contact the clerk's office, put in a letter and a resume, and we'll bring that to the city council for review. They're all by appointment of the city council.
And if you're interested, I would suggest that you go to the city website to see what day that they meet and attend a meeting so that you can see what they actually do during these meetings. It's important to kind of see what you're involved in, would be getting involved in, but we definitely need your volunteerism and support in the city.
Absolutely. I want to, maybe before we finish up, just go over to our Facebook. I'm seeing there have been some comments and questions. I can take a quick spin through those, Mayor, if you'd like.
Absolutely.
First, we have, does this include home tests that are positive? So the data from the county only includes tests that they know about. So if someone tests positive for COVID at home and doesn't tell their medical provider, I don't think it's ever going to make it into the county data, which is why I say it probably under measures, because now that we have all these home tests going on. So that's the answer to that question. Let me see what else we've got here. Someone is saying that they fell down on an icy sidewalk, and it was a terrible accident, basically, and is calling upon people to do a better job salting their sidewalks and so on. And the city will continue its efforts as well. We're sorry to hear about any accidents. Please be careful out there. Even when it looks like it's shoveled, sometimes there's a thin layer of ice, and people really need to be careful.
And that thin layer of ice can be treacherous.
Yeah, it's so thin sometimes you barely see it. Let's see. We're getting reports about places where there's a snow and ice removal needs to happen in the parking garages. We'll turn that over to the DPW. We appreciate the community is our eyes and ears, and whether it's a pothole or anything else, please let us know when you see something you think we can help out with. Um, there's someone saying, basically just sort of lamenting uh, the, the the sort of the supposed lack of new jobs in the city. I guess I don't really have anything to say. That I think that there are. Um, that's just sort of an economics comment. The need for crosswalks to be clear to snow. There's a lot of conversation here just about snow and ice and the importance of safety and everybody getting out and taking responsibility for their sections of the sidewalks. And then there's a question about the Howard Street zoning and affordable. So the affordable housing ordinance will go forward for a council vote next week. That's the answer to that question. The public hearing took place. There was comment. The draft is ready for a vote. The Howard Street zoning, I believe what happened with that is it'll be subject to a public hearing coming, and that will be advertised. Yeah, there were a number of important planning. So there'll be public hearings on the Howard Street project, the Howard and Broad Street. So people should keep an eye out for those public hearings and
We
participate.
discussed that last night, so I think it's going to resolution to go to a public hearing,
Right.
correct?
Yeah, exactly. We'll have a resolution setting that date. It'll
Yeah.
be sometime in February. Yep. So those are the comments we have right now, Mayor. I think we've pretty much addressed what we could here, and I appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Andy.
Take care.